Hey YouTube, just got down out of a place where you don't want to get things in your hair. That's why I'm wearing this thing. So you'll have to excuse this because after I finish this review, I'm going right back up there to work again. But I've been looking through my videos and I thought I had done a review of this, but apparently I haven't. I'm going to do a review on the $12 Dollar General Chef's Selection 12-cup coffee maker. I've had it for about 6 months and I thought I had done a video on it. I looked and looked and I didn't see it anywhere, but it's easy to miss things, you know. So I'm going to do a review on it now. And I'll tell you a little bit about it, and then we'll load it up with some coffee and we'll get right down to it. And I'll let you know. My overall impression of it... sorry. Something's distracting me over there. My overall impression of it over the time that I've used it is that it's a satisfactory machine. It doesn't brew the hottest. Well, it's hot when it comes out. But the hot plate doesn't keep it super hot, which is probably good because you don't want to scorch your coffee. That's generally what ruins the flavor of coffee. It also means it's not all going to cook out, but it's still hot enough that you can have an enjoyable cup of coffee. So let me show you this little guy and we'll get right down to it. So this is the Chef's Selection 12-cup coffee maker, available at most Dollar General stores. It's sometimes in stock and sometimes not, but it only cost me 12 bucks. I got it about 6 months ago. And this was before I got into the single serving machines, but I still keep it around because sometimes you have people that come over and you need to brew a lot of coffee. So today, for our review, I'm going to run some Don Pedro through there, which has kind of grown on me. It's not the best coffee in the universe, but it's pretty good. And for this kind of thing, I think it'll be adequate. So anyway, one of the first things you'll notice is, unlike a Mr. Coffee maker, it's not fill to the band to get your 12 cups. You can actually fill it, I don't know if this is going to come through clear or not, but you can fill it past 12 cups, which is good because your grounds don't drink that up. You know, they'll drink that little bit beyond, but if you get it right, you're going to get your 12 cups out. It has pause and serve up under here. I'm sorry, I'm working through the viewfinder. Pause and serve up under there, and it does work. It positively shuts off. Not an advisable thing because the first coffee you get out is going to be stronger than motor oil. It's better to just let it brew and finish, but it is there if you want it. Lighted rocker switch. Yep. So you know it's on. You're not walking out of the room and looking back and thinking it's off. One of the niceties, I was very surprised for a cheap coffee maker. Let me release that. Well, the hot plate puts a positive hold on the decanter, which is nice, but one of the nicer things, I have a replacement one because my friend gave me a better filter. But it came with a white nylon mesh filter that I did use, and I tested it. It worked really good. And it also came with a little scoop. It came with a 1 tablespoon scoop. You know, it's nice to get the accessories. Even, you know, you don't expect it on the cheap stuff. And I just put that filter in. Fits perfectly. Or you can use standard paper filters. They fit. I prefer the mesh filters. They make a better cup of coffee in my estimation, and you're not spending money over and over again for filters. But anyway, let's load this thing up with coffee, and I'll talk about it as it brews. Okay, so we're coffeeed up, loaded up, everything's together, and I'll tell you a little bit about this. Number one, that decanter there says no drip. It's no drip as long as you pour it at the rate it's meant to be poured at. One of the weird things about that, if you pour it too fast, it'll dribble down the side. I learned that first off when I bought this, but if you pour it like you would be pouring a cup of coffee, it does not drip. I've not had a problem. You might have a problem with yours. I think some of this cheaper stuff, the mileage varies unit to unit. But the other thing I like about this over Mr. Coffee's is it's got this. It's got this separate reservoir from this, because some of the Mr. Coffees you get, especially some of the older ones, this whole thing flips up, and when you pour the water in the reservoir, if you're not careful, you can splash a little over into your coffee, you know. I guess it's superficial if you're about to make it, but It's just, it's a messy way to do it. It also, that top lifting up, sometimes that little clip that holds that, it has that moving part, that steam head that moves up and down, and that underneath that, and that can actually come loose or malfunction. I've had it happen. I've got a 4-cupper in there that happened to, that the clip broke on it. Anyway, so we got her loaded up, so let's flip it on. It's pretty well straightforward. That's all you do. It's a coffee maker, what more do you want? And it takes it a little bit, but this thing actually brews like a racehorse once it gets going. It does a good job, and it puts hot coffee, hot water through your coffee at a preferable temperature. And it's going to take that thing probably about 5 minutes to brew. I'm not going to bore y'all with that. So when I get to the end of what I'm saying, I'll go ahead and pause it and let it finish up. But you can hear it. Alright, I restarted that. I took that decanter out and I restarted that and started the sequence back up. I had to wait a few minutes. But wanted to make sure there's no filth getting in the coffee. It seems like when you're out in the country, one of the first things you have to deal with is fruit flies. And they're quite numerous when they want to be. Even in a clean kitchen, you have these problems out here. So that's going to brew. I'm going to let it finish up. But what I was going to say, man, that actually smells pretty good when it brews in a 12 cup compared to a single serve. What I was going to say is it can brew that in roughly about 5 minutes. And I'll just show you down there. Sure of that. And there it is again with a fresh cup going now, or fresh pot going now. Hopefully no flies will interrupt us again. But there it is making. And it makes pretty fast. I mean, it's been going about maybe a minute, and it's already there. And it's making hot coffee, not crappy cold coffee. It doesn't keep it the hottest of a lot of coffee makers I've seen. It keeps it hot enough to drink, but it's not scalding hot, So you're not scorching your coffee or cooking it down to this incredibly concentrated goo, I've never, in my time of owning this coffee maker, ever brewed the coffee out. And I've left it overnight because I've pulled all-nighters, and the coffee tastes just as good as when it was brewed because it's not scorching it. So for a cheap coffee maker, I have to say hats off to them for that. It's very hard to find a coffee maker with a hot plate that isn't too hot, if you know what I mean. Probably doing about the job of on the level of a thermal carafe. So there you go. And when that finishes, I'll pour some and we'll evaluate the quality. I didn't do it as strong as I do my single serves because this machine extracts really well. You're dealing with a huge amount of coffee compared to what you would put through a single serve. And it doesn't really take as much as it says. And it'll still make motor oil even under the recommended amount, if you like strong coffee. So let's let her go and then we'll come back. Just a little side note, I thought I should mention. The cups on a coffee maker, and a lot of people probably know this, but there are some people that don't, especially if you're new to drinking coffee. That's not a US standard cup that makes. A cup for coffee maker is about 5 ounces as opposed to 8 ounces for a normal cup. So keep that in mind when you're making coffee, that you're going to go through those cup graduations on that thing a lot faster than you think. A 12 cup maker probably only makes, oh god, let me think, 5, 10, let's see. That's going to be about 60 ounces. It'll make enough for a few people to drink coffee a couple of times. But you're not getting an insane amount for that. Well, 60 ounces is actually, that's pretty close to 2 quarts. That's 4 ounces shy of 2 quarts. So I guess if you can drink 2 quarts of coffee, more power to you. But yeah, 5 ounces as opposed to 8. So don't get tricked by that. When you buy styrofoam cups, the standard ones are usually like 6 ounce cups. That's the reason why. It's making cups for that size thing. So just a little bit of trivial knowledge. Another thing, just something else I thought of while we're sitting here waiting for this to brew, and it's still got a ways yet to go. It's brewing pretty fast. I had forgotten, and anybody that uses a full-size coffee maker knows this. It's just so amazing how the smell of the coffee gets out into the kitchen and the aroma just spreads through the house. I mean, it's insane. Compared to a smaller one, you do get the benefit of that wake-up smell when you brew the coffee. If it's good coffee. This is actually doing pretty good justice to a cheap cup of coffee, too. I think it just reached the end of the cycle. Anyway, we'll get it out, and we'll give it a shot. Oh, look at that. That's a thing of beauty, man. A big, big cup of black coffee. And here's my old piece of crap travel mug. And it's just a waiting for a glass. So let's pour some of this cheap goodness and see what we've got. So here we have it. Hot coffee goodness. The cheapest on the shelf. Don Pedro. You know that thing does a halfway decent job and has since the day I bought that thing. That, even with half the mix, that does a good job. That's not weak at all. Good infusion, good filtering. I believe I'm going to go sit and drink this, and then I'll sum it up. Because that's a really awesome cup of coffee. Oh, we're getting rain. We haven't had rain in a while. That's a lovely thing. I like it when a storm comes over. Anyway. So the 12-cup coffee maker, Chef's Selection, Dollar General, $12. Does a good cup of coffee. Runs for at least 6 months. I've had it for 6 months, and so far it's kicking ass. So best $12 you can spend if you're a morning coffee drinker or just want a little something to share with your guests when they come over. You know, when you have more than 2 people. So awesome little deal. It doesn't make a bad cup of coffee. I mean, I guess it would depend on the brew, but it can do the coffee in less than 7 minutes. You have 12 cups of coffee, which is good because it doesn't keep the water in the grounds too long. The hot plate is not too hot to scorch the coffee. You know, it just keeps it warm and it doesn't scorch it, so that's good. It's very gentle heat. Of course, they're recommending thermal carafe type coffee makers now. Power draw, very low, 900 watts. I'll get you a picture of it again so you know what to look for. So there he is, the Chef's Selection. I'm actually very pleased with it since the day I bought it. It has not yet failed me. As with a lot of this cheaper stuff, your mileage may vary, but so far, this has been a good coffee maker. Knock on wood and spill coffee. But anyway, I'm going to go sit down and enjoy this coffee. And I hope that all of you have a really good day on YouTube. I'm actually surprised my battery is holding long enough to shoot this video. And let me know, if you own one of these, let me know how it performed for you. But as far as I can tell, after 6 months of intermittent use, this has been a good coffee maker. Take care, YouTube, and have a good one.